It's not random. In fact, it's heavily calculated by advanced AI systems and algorithms.
Oh my gosh. Okay, guys, today we have something very, very important to talk about because nothing gets me more fired up than MMR conversations and arguments about matchmaking stuff and systems in video games. Nothing's more important in this world, right? So we're going to get into this. As you can see here, this guy talks about the MMR system in Marvel Rivals, how he thinks it's pretty much rigged and all the crazy things he says it does to keep you, from winning games at certain times and how it's unfair and all of this. And, one of the reasons I don't like this and why I have to make this video is because I don't like it when people give trolls and other, ignorant bronzies, just kind of bad players with bad attitudes. I don't like to give them fuel for the fire. And what I mean by this is I don't like to give them excuses and things that they can spout out to make them think that the reason they're losing games isn't their fault, is that it's always their teammates' fault. It's what they always say. It's always their teammates' fault. And what's the thing they always say other than it's my teammates' fault? What is the thing that bronze people always say to help themselves cope is it's the system's fault, man. It's the system is keeping me down. It's NetEase, man. It's the system or what have you, okay? So we're going to get into this here and we're going to talk about it. Now, his video is 33 minutes long. There's a link down here for you to watch it yourself and see what you think. But we're going to go into a couple snippets here so we can analyze them and see what we think about it, guys. A lot of this is just misunderstanding, by the way, you guys. It's just a misunderstanding.
When you click the queue up for competitive button where there's supposed to be competitive integrity, it's supposed to be a merit of skill versus skill, 6 versus 6, totally random. Well, it's not. It's not random. In fact, it's heavily calculated by advanced AI systems and algorithms. Okay?
Oh my gosh. Oh my
the
gosh.
online planning stage optimizes the gross player's utilities. Example.
Okay. So what he's discovered is that the matchmaking system, they even have, this. Okay. So he's reading an article about matchmaking systems. I don't even know if this one particularly applies to, so it's NetEase. Okay. Maybe it does. But he's finding out that the matchmaking system isn't completely 100% random. And that they use statistics and other AI to matchmake us games. Now, I mean, I kind of thought that was a given, I guess it makes sense that maybe you would think it's completely 100% random, like the first person that queues up in a given, region just gets thrown into a lobby, right? Because that does make sense on some levels, but the system isn't rigged using AI. It's not against you. The whole thing isn't against you, just you to make you have a bad time and make you hate your life and to be unfair against you, okay? In these games, basically sometimes teams will be lopsided. You'll have kind of an underdog team versus, say, a stronger on paper, let's call it on paper team. So you have team 2 that has stronger on paper. Maybe you have some people who have higher hidden MMRs or hidden ranks, okay? Or they're supposed to be strongers, okay? And then versus, say, your team, which is team 1, who is the underdogs. Now, the game understands that you have David fighting Goliath, right? So it's rewarded appropriately. If you were to win that game as the underdogs, you get more points, okay? You get plus, say, 30 points to your rank up to your next gold 2 or diamond, whatever it is. Whereas if you were to lose the game versus that on paper harder team, you don't lose as many points. It's basically the MMR system, its way of testing to see if, okay, are we correct here? Is this really where they're supposed to be? And the same thing goes vice versa. If you're on a stronger team is matched versus a lower team, and that stronger team loses, they will lose more points, dropping them. It's because the system is saying, hey, maybe we had this wrong. You're supposed to be lower down than we thought. What are you guys doing up here? We're gonna dock you harder to bring you back down here, and we're gonna give the other team a boost, okay? Now, that's not the situation for every single match. In some matches, you'll have what they consider equally on paper equal matches, and then each team will earn just average amounts of points and lose average amounts of points, right? It's always going to be related. You know, every match is going to be a little bit related, and the system knows what it's doing. The system isn't saying, this guy here, Johnny 2123. We out of all the players on this server, we just don't like him. We just don't like him. We've looked at him through his webcam while he was sleeping, and we just don't like his wardrobe. We don't like people that wear blue shirts, so we're gonna give him We're gonna give him a really bad match. We're gonna give him a bunch of series of matches that are just unwinnable for no reason. Okay, that's not happening. That's not happening. And it's definitely not lowering your hitboxes for you. We can get into that here in just a second. Now, what he does talk about earlier in this video is the churn rate percentage of players. Now, this is something I think could actually be happening in games. So what churn rate is basically, the churn rate is how soon a given player will stop playing the game after a given amount of time in regards to wins and losses. So you can have, if a player is on a win-win, loss-loss, or if they're on a 4-loss streak, or maybe it only takes a certain player 2 losses in a row before they rage quit out of the game and they're not spending money in the store, therefore NetEase loses money, right? They have all of these analytics, wouldn't any company, so they can know what they're going to do. Now, on a free game, by the way, the game is free. You have to imagine they're going to be doing a little bit of this to find out how they can get players. I mean, it's any company, any business any business finds out the best way to make them the most money. Okay, it's not new here, and they may be manipulating it a bit here. So basically, the whole thing here is that they're saying, what he tries to say is, it monitors people who are easily rage quit. So say I'm the kind of person, and the system knows I'm the kind of person who will just exit out of the program and stop playing the game for a week if I go on a 3-game loss streak. The game knows, because the game can see that I've lost 3 games and that I've closed the program, and I don't turn it back on for a week. However, it sees that if I win 7 games in a row, I'll keep playing, right? I'll keep playing, and then maybe I'll go spend money in the store. So what he's trying to say is, but by the way, real quickly, other people like myself in real life, I could lose actually, I could probably lose in theory like 8 games in a row and not exit the game because I try to have good mental, if I can tell that I'm actually in a good mental state, I'm not like playing completely horribly, I'll keep playing after 8 games, okay? That's just me. So I'm just saying people are different. Some people will quit after 3 games. Some people like myself, I'll lose a bunch more games and I'll keep playing the game. So what they're trying to say is the system will recognize the people who will rage quit after losing 2 or 3 games and reward them by putting them in easier matches so they continue to play the game. I could see this going on a little bit, like for sure, because they're trying to keep retention in the game. And in some ways, this is healthy for everyone because if you keep a bigger player base for the game, overall, you're just getting more hype for the game. You have more of your friends that are playing it. It's kind of a good thing. The community's bigger. But I don't think it's doing it to a point where it's just completely ruining the game and being completely unfair. So what I'm saying, going back to what I said about MMR, hidden MMR, and how many points are winning and losing per game, you'll notice it's never the same, right? It's doing this based on, a bunch of different calculations. And if the game is trying to reward rage quitty people with easier lobbies, so they will get a couple wins here, and feel better and keep playing, they're going to be on the Goliath team, not the David team. And when he does win those games that he finally wins, you know, he's probably not getting as many points as you are if you're on the David team who wins against the Goliath team. Does that make sense? I know that I just butchered that made that probably more confusing than I needed to. So I'm going to try to do better on this next rant here.
Rivals, so I'm not going to give you guys bad information, but there are games that this system has actually increased and decreased hitboxes in real time in the game. For any of you who have played a game in Marvels before where you absolutely destroy the enemy team on the first fight, and then you go to the next map and you have another fight, and then they're dumpstering you, I would not be surprised if that's an increase and a reduction in hitboxes and hit registry, or any kind of increased FPS or latency for the winning or losing team.
Okay. Guys, level with me here. Just tell me, and I want to know that I'm not completely crazy here. Because what you just said is, have you ever won a team fight very handedly and then gotten into another team fight in the same match and then lost that one? That's what he said, okay? And then he tried to say, well, that's crazy. That there's no way that could happen in a competitive game where people of near equal skill levels are pitted, you know, into each other. Of course, you're gonna win one team fight and then lose the next one very often. So I mean, that's part of the amazing part of the games, that the games can swing, you know, if you have people that lock in sometimes, or for whatever reason, maybe some person's ults were just up during the first fight and not during the second, or you had a different positioning, like, you know, better, like, I'm losing my mind. I can't talk straight. It's just so baffling to me that this guy says he is a top 1% player, but he can't comprehend this topic, okay? And I'm sure he's a great guy, and if you're hearing this, bro, I'm not trying to throw shade, I guess, like personally, but it's just kind of crazy, okay? The game is not lowering your hitboxes for you in real time to make the game interesting, or that's just not. That's a level of craziness that is just not happening, okay? That's like, well, you might as well at this point be knocking on your desk 3 times before every team fight, because that's your lucky number, okay? This is crazy. This is just crazy.
Would not surprise me at this point, especially on console where aim assist is like heavily needed. On PC, again, I don't know if this is in the game or not, but it exists in games like Destiny 2, where you have something called bullet magnetism, which for PC players is kind of like a soft aim assist for controller players. If something like that existed, it could also adjust that. Funny enough, there was a supposed mouse acceleration that was built into the game that people figured out that didn't have an option to turn on or off, which they then later added an option to toggle that on and off. That also wouldn't surprise me if that had a lot to do with changing the accuracy of players mid-game to make an attempt to keep everybody engaged and satisfied and not quitting the game. That, again, this is speculation. I'm not
okay. It is speculation, and it's wild speculation. Okay, sure, they had the technology to do things like this if they were that sociopathic, but they're not doing that. Okay, and the mouse sensitivity thing, the mouse acceleration. I mean, we all know mouse acceleration is just an option that you check in your mouse options, because it'll accelerate your mouse depending on how far and how quickly you move the mouse to increase the distance. Has nothing to do with cheating and aiming and helping. Okay, that's just not what that is. Okay. So one thing about this matchmaking system is that I've noticed it seems to be pretty similar to the League of Legends matchmaking system. And anyone who is familiar with the League of Legends matchmaking system knows, I mean, they all are going to be come with a big list of cons and pros. It's kind of a love-hate system for a lot of reasons. Now, what he does talk about in this video is that the system, he tries to make it sound like it's some really bad maniacal thing, but the system tends to push players towards a 50% forced win rate, okay? Now, this, I believe, is true, okay? And I believe it's true. It's the same thing in League too. People are forced through the system towards a 50% win rate because that is when the system is working correctly. If you're winning about half of your games, then that means you're correctly placed in the elo where you should be. If all of a sudden you turn on your computer and let's say you have your friend who is 4 levels, like a pro gamer or something, or four ranks above you, come and play on your account, he's going to be winning a lot more games, and his win rate is suddenly not going to be 50% anymore. It's going to be, say, 90 or 80 or whatever. And he's going to climb in rank. And over time, he'll get to where he naturally belongs, whether it's celestial or whatever rank he is. And he's going to reach game lobbies with other people his same skill level, and he's going to start to win 50% of the games again. And then his win rate again will get to around 50% again. So what people need to understand is that 50% isn't like in high school, right? Where 50% is an F on a project. No, 50% is actually okay. Okay, you guys need to understand this. If you're winning 50% of your games, you're doing okay. You're doing okay. It's actually okay. I'd say it's like a B rating, okay? I would say if you have a 45% win rate, that's a problem. Okay, that's not good. You need to fix that. If you have a 55% win rate, that's pretty darn good. And if you have a 60 or above, that's really, really good, you guys. And if you're winning 60% of your games, by the way, you're going to be climbing really quickly, okay? So you need to understand that just because it's 50%, don't take that super personally, like, oh, I'm a trash player or the system is rigged. No, that's the system doing what it does correctly. So all that being said, let me just reiterate. Okay, the system may be a little bit hidden to you, and it may be something that you don't completely understand word for word on paper, and that's their right to have that because whatever. Let me restart. If you are a really good player and you're doing well in your games, for the most part, you're going to climb. You're going to climb, I promise you. And the way you can know this, that the game isn't completely crazy rigged, and I don't recommend this, please don't smurf, it ruins games. I can go into that more in a second, but any player who's like gold or diamond or whatever, or even if you're silver, honestly, you can tell the difference between silver and bronze games, right? But make a smurf or watch someone who has made a smurf and has to start back over in bronze and silver, and you will see the night and day difference between bronze games and gold games, and that person will just climb super fast. Okay, and it's not like super rigged to make you stuck in elo hell. Okay, you need to understand this. By the way, about the Smurf thing, I would highly recommend to NetEase and any other game, really competitive game, to do sort of what Deadlock. So Deadlock's a FPS game made by Valve that's in alpha right now, but they have an option in there that you can check to make it so it's a competitive lobbies. Put me in competitive lobbies where other people are trying hard, even though the game isn't a ranked game. So basically what I'm trying to get at here is one way to make people smurf less is if you just give them an option of lobbies they can queue into that are competitive but not ranked, so they can still practice stuff with other players who are playing competitively. They can still practice other heroes and stuff like that and feel like they're getting a run for their money, but they don't have to worry about losing that game because it's not an actually ranked match. They're not going to go up or down on a ladder, but they're playing against other competitive people, and that'll get rid of a lot of people who are smurfing because they want to learn new heroes, but they don't want to lose games on their main account, so they make a smurf, But there's of course the other kind of smurf, who is the person who just wants to simply smurf and dumpster on people and have that kind of ego thing, like you know what I'm talking about. And that's honestly, I mean, as fun as it may be, I'm not saying I've never done that, but it is a problem just for the system. It's a problem for all these algorithms and matchmaking systems that we're talking about here tonight, because it really confuses the system. It throws it off. It makes it hard for it to, it makes it second guess. It just throws a wrench in the system, obviously, and makes it hard for the majority of people to get the games that they want. But I think that anyone who is smurfing doesn't care about that and knows that inherently anyways. So anyways, I digress. Okay, another thing he talks about here is the fact that the game may be putting people with skins against lower level players who main the same hero who don't have that skin. So they can see someone popping off on that hero who owns the skin, therefore psychologically making them more likely to buy that skin. Now, I'm going to say that I don't know for a fact that they're not doing this. I guess, yeah. I mean, I guess it would kind of make sense that they would. And I'm sure that, people are pretty simple at the end of the day. And if they see someone popping off on that skin somewhere inside of them, a lot of people are going to probably be more likely to buy that skin or think that the skin is cool, right? So I could see that a system would do that for sure. However, I don't even know if they really need to implement something like this. I think that enough people are going to be buying all the skins anyway. I kind of feel like everyone is going to see every single skin regardless of them having to implement any kind of system like this. I mean, let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'm just kind of spitballing here. Later in the video, he talks about hidden MMRs. Okay, guys, so let me just kind of retouch. For those of you who don't know what a hidden MMR is, what a hidden MMR is a hidden matchmaking rating, or essentially the rating that the system thinks you are. So the one we all see is bronze, silver, gold, diamond, etc. So that's the kind of scale that we know, because that's what we see. But the system uses a number that's a little bit different, and the number is a little bit more fluid and takes into account different things, okay? So even though I may be gold, okay, I may have a hidden MMR that's a little bit lower or a little bit above my gold rating. And the reason for this is that the system is behind the scenes with all the matches that you go through, is slowly calculating different things over time that are more complex than you realize, to make sure that you really are in the right elo or the right division that you should be. It's doing all these calculations behind the curtains that you may not know about. So this harkens back to what I was talking about earlier with the David and Goliath, right? You have a lower David team with a lower MMR. So even though both these teams are in gold, you have one team with a lower on average MMR, or at least some of the players on the team have a lower MMR, versus a team with a higher overall MMR. And so even though the teams are both gold, the system is trying to figure out, where the incongruencies are. So he tries to say that, gold and diamond, all these ratings are just completely just cosmetic and meaningless. And that is entirely not true, okay? It is entirely not true. You may be fighting... it's just so crazy. It's definitely true, okay? A diamond player is definitely better than a silver player, okay? Unless they're on their way up or down, So that's just not what's going on. The system is just calculating things. And none of this is new information for people who have played other games. I mean, I guess maybe I'm a little bit privileged here because I have played a lot of other competitive games that have kind of similar matchmaking systems. They're all a little bit different or unique in their own ways, but a lot of them are similar in a lot of ways. And I will say that it kind of seems that this what game are we playing? Rivals. Marvel Rivals is similar to League of Legends matchmaking system, it seems like to me. Let me drink some water. So I hate to say it, guys, but at the end of the day, it's a skill issue. It's a skill issue. Now, there are going to be games where you get screwed. I know this, trust me. You get put on a team full of 4 other people who are just having a really bad day, or they really, they don't really deserve their rank, or, one of them is trolling, or whatever it is. For some reason, half the team just isn't trying, and there's no way you're going to win that match. No matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you're Sinatra or pick your pro player, you're not going to win that match, right? Because no player can win 1 versus 6, okay? That definitely does happen, and you definitely are going to get some unfair matches, but the system isn't purposefully doing this to you for no reason or on purpose. I mean, the system can't anticipate if someone is going to go AFK, if someone's internet shuts down, or, if someone's suddenly going to start trolling and like flaming the team, the system can't know that. So you just have to take a lot of this information with a grain of salt and love the game for what it is. Understand that, it's not perfect, but we, we're enjoying it either way. But I think I'll leave it at that, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please, honestly, consider subscribing. I really do need I got enough watch hours on this channel, but in order for me to get what I need subscribers. So please consider subscribing. I can see that 1% of my viewers are subscribed, and 99% are not. So please just consider pushing the button. It's free for you, and it helps me out immensely. And I promise to do the best for you, getting the best content out to you about Marvel Rivals. And other than that, have a great night. And the system isn't rigged. At least not this one.